23. Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
Bob Bloomingdale,
Here.
Lisa Germani Williams, Eric Diana, Owen Puma,
Here.
Connie Karsten,
Here.
Chris Johnson, Roger Knapp, Paul Haig,
Here.
Mayor Vixen,
Here.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Here.
Mayor Schmidt, Lisa Swiftney, Don Sinkowitz.
Here.
Christie Trevorrow.
Here.
They're in the quorum.
Excellent. Barely, but we're here, which is fantastic. Thank you for coming this evening. Appreciate it. On the agenda, the first item would be the approval of the meeting minutes from May 17, 2023. Questions or emotion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Bloomingdale, support.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Excellent. Liaison reports. The Honorable Marilyn Trent. Good evening, madam.
First of all, thank you for the effort to the work that was done with focus groups. I know that was parachuted in.
It was fun. We did. We'll get to it. It's on the agenda.
I learned a lot. Thank you. Okay, so on May 22nd, the second reading and adoption of the dumpster and trash enclosure amendment was approved.
Oh, thank God.
The Sheba Romanian Pentecostal Church was approved to hold their Heart Cry uplifting music event on July 9th in the band shell. We do naming at my company. I think we could go for that.
Well, I'm sure Nick had a hand in that one because
Just, three beats. Boards and commission appointments were approved. One was Tanya Karsten, 4 more years, I believe.
4 more years. 4 more
Yay.
years.
Announcement you hadn't heard, that's why I added it in.
What did Marcus say? Voluntold, right? That's right.
She applied, she reapplied.
This
I
is true.
did. I signed it and everything.
Yeah, she did. She asked to do it for 4 more years. So June 12th, city council meeting was, we got an update from State Representative Mark Tisdall. Then Officer Carrs got recognition for 29 years of service to the Rochester Police Department for his retirement. I didn't know he came when I did to Rochester. There was a public hearing for an approval for the use of the Scott Park land for a skate park. It was very well attended, and the chambers were full of young people and their parents who were in favor of the skate park in Rochester, and the committee spearheading the request is called SPLAT. I'm not sure what that acronym means, but I couldn't find it, so I like the acronym. I like the name. They are in pursuit of a grant, but needed an approval of land usage as one of the criteria to be eligible. And then Christie Trevorrow presented, or requested, needed approval for a RAP, R-A-P-T 2 grant program for their eligibility to apply. So that was approved. You know, they'll get the money.
Hopefully, we got an ad for our agenda this evening as well for a resolution to send along, so.
We don't want to impede that.
No, anytime the free money is out there, you have to do all you can to try and grab some. Shopping carts in tow.
Active, so thank you.
Thank you for the report. We appreciate it. Lisa Swiftney is not here this evening, so in case anybody else was going to stand in her stead, we shall move forward. Mr. Sinkowitz, Historical.
Good evening. I'll start off with the Heritage Festival, which went very smoothly. We've had a couple of meetings already where we're looking at improving, establishing metrics so we can establish what's a successful festival. One thing I don't think we can improve on was the weather. So, again, it went very, very, very smooth. All the elements of the festival did. From the Heritage Commission, so far this year, fiscal year, they've sold 46 of the DUR books, the railroad books, so that one is going well. Lynn Anderson has received from the Rochester Public Library digital pictures that they're going to digitalize, and that'll go to the museum. Also, Lynn has sold another one of the historical plaques to a family on Pine Street. And the city of Rochester, some materials that represent the 20th anniversary of Stoneleigh Creek. So Lynn Anderson again is working with that. So, Thank you.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It was interesting. So from what I understand, you can get a plaque if your house is 50 years old or older. I mean, my house was 1969, so we could get them. Like, it just seems kind of silly to me that my house would be eligible.
It depends on how many changes you made to your house.
We just painted it, that's it. So.
I don't know, you may not.
Right?
I'm just
Yes, right. That could be a deal breaker. I just thought that was interesting.
And what I should mention with the plaques is that the city has agreed to help the citizens with the funding for the plaque.
Oh, sweet.
So the plaques will cost the citizen $150, and the rest will be funded by the city.
Gotcha. Well, good. That's fantastic. We'll pass that along. Just for the record, my house actually was the first house built in Great Oaks and was the original model, so.
Oh, that's great.
1969. Yeah, see? Who knew?
A model house.
I know, right? Principal Shopping District, Mr. Haig,
I'm going to refer that to,
the director?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So we had a brief meeting. The request for recommendation for Rochester Post is going to City Council. The theme this year is Heroes and Villains. We also talked about upcoming events, which now that we have the team here, possibly they'll do updates where the regular events and marketing would just be their written report. We could probably coax them to give us their actual reports tonight, so we can get deeper into that. And then we are not going to be having a meeting in July because it falls the day after 4th of July, and everyone felt confident they would not be there. So that's what's happened at PSD.
Gotcha. Excellent. All right, very good. General business agenda item 6A, city project update. Manager Banda, good evening.
Good evening. Just have three quick things. Number one, Tony's gonna get an infill sidewalk, as we had this place, there's a little sliver that for some reason MDOT never filled in. They put dirt there, and it's dirt all the time, so we're gonna fill it in with concrete. Basically, the news is over. MDOT weather, thank God, got Main Street done. So it was supposed to be both outside lanes, Tinkin, and then we added on Romeo and Parkdale, all the way from the intersection, all the way up to Romeo and Parkdale, where they split. And they're supposed to skip patch the inside two lanes, which means do what's bad. So I think a bunch of us were driving that night, it's like, well, it skip stinks. The skip patch is kind of the whole lane. So we don't know why, but good for us, err in our favor. They did all the lanes, all the way up and back. And they would take them out in one day, same day, put them back, drive on them that night. So it's basically done. They'll stripe it now. So we don't know if that's an indicator, like, well, maybe it's gonna take a little while before we get to the reconstruction, because they did all the lanes, which is good for us, so it should be a nice smooth surface. When we were driving, we were looking, we didn't see a lot of subsurface problems, so that's good. So this patch might last quite a long time, so we're excited about that. And then just the third thing is, I got a call today, the rest of the elevator that's not gonna stay will come down Monday, starting Monday. The blue building, the shed, and then a piece of the old elevator that's not being saved. So what's gonna be left there will be the shell that will be saved and renovated after it goes to the planning commission. That meeting takes place, the first meeting is July 6th, when Mosheri goes in for their 30 live-work apartments, 3 stories in 3 different buildings, and then renovate the historic elevator into a clubhouse, and then it has a glass addition on the back where it's like a library kinda, so it should be pretty cool. So that process will start August, conclude probably in September. It's a special project, so that will go in front of city council probably in September. So we'll keep you on track on that. That's about it.
That's awesome. Any questions for the city manager? Yes, sir.
Nick, is that a thin set, it seems like that's a thinner set blacktop than they usually do. Is that some new process, or?
No, it's a mill and fill. They cost 1.5 inches, so it's only meant to last 3 to 5 years. So that's standard. They couldn't go any deeper actually on that road because the bricks are underneath there,
Yeah.
but that's standard. 1.5 inches is standard.
Because I noticed they did that in Rochester Road going up into Rochester Hills, and already that's crumbling, even the first year, some of it came up.
Yeah, and it's funny, Orion Road I've been here 15 years, and Orion's been done 3 times already, because they just put that thin set on it, but it looks good for a little while. This is, we know, temporary, but they got it pretty uniform, so that's good.
They did a good job.
They did a
on
really
that.
good job.
They milled it down,
did.
and they were
Clean,
efficient.
and they were clean.
Yeah,
Very clean.
they
No
did a great
complaints.
job.
Yeah, and, like I said, one last thing, the Roxy opened Friday and Saturday. Sold out both nights. We had members of, our staff in there, for instance, Chief Cieslik and his wife Nancy went Saturday, actually quietly did sound checks inside, kinda went outside, 55 dBs, perfect. Paul, you said you were out there too.
I
You
did the
can't-
same thing, yeah.
Yep, Corner Bar had a party for a police officer's retirement. I could hear it in my yard, 5 blocks away. That was the Corner Bar, not the Roxy. They had the police were playing their, music quite loud that night. But that's an anomaly, that was an anomaly, so. But yeah, so we checked the parking structures both night. They weren't full, so people are doing what they said they were gonna do. Eat somewhere else downtown, walk to the Roxy, walk back to their cars. So we still had room in the deck for, folks, especially the west deck, east deck too. So far so good, and they're basically sold out all summer, I swear. People are really excited about it. About 310 people when it's, full, and, so far so good. So that we're happy about it, and they're happy. And they'll complete restoration of the parking lot in August, so we got it safe and striped. They don't use it for much other than handicap and drop off. So, they will be redoing that parking lot and then adding a sidewalk on Walnut and then, 5 more street trees and grass. So that will be done by the end of August. So we have a bond for that to make sure that we covered, and the contractors couldn't get it done, but it wasn't imperative to have that open, to open the facility because everything else was done, so. Okay?
Fantastic, thank you. Keep the structure full and keep the meters running, right? Front porch project update, that would be me. So, quick update on, quickish update on the front porch project. Christie had emailed out the report that we received from, Double Hall Solutions. So we had 2 sessions, as you guys know. I think most people that are here attended one or both, so thank you for that, appreciate that. Hold on a second, I gotta pull it up here. I'm not prepared, I didn't realize I was that far ahead in my. But you guys have had a chance to read it. The way it broke down was, we had 2 referrals, as you know. We went with one. We met probably once or twice to kind of walk through sort of the agenda and what she thought that she needed and some tools that she wanted to use, and which is great. Did it at the first meeting, and then received some constructive feedback from individuals in the community as to ways to improve the next one. So we implemented those on the second one. So I think by and large between the 2, it was fairly consistent themes throughout, even though there was a little bit different, sort of messaging in terms of. In the first one, it was clear that people weren't really understanding, what was going to happen in the programming of the space. So by the second one, we were able to address that. My father-in-law, whenever we go out someplace for the first time, he refers to it as a pilgrim trip. So that, by the second one, I think we had it dialed in. So, but yes, we got some really good feedback. The report was emailed to everybody. I'm going to do an update for council, and did we forward it to council yet?
We have not.
Okay, so I'm going to do an update for council, and I promise to make it much shorter than the last memo I sent you guys. And then I'll include that as an attachment, just so you have it. But yeah, so we did receive some good feedback. A lot of the things we already knew just sort of verified that we were on the right track, or we knew what the objections were. And the main ones that you saw were, people that have had free parking there forever are not pleased about it. But aside from that, I think on balance, it was really well received. We had a lot of great feedback. It was an interesting exercise. We used a word cloud. I don't know if some of you know what word clouds are, but we had people sort of give their opinion of the project before the presentation and then redo it afterwards to see if there was any difference. Either we did a good job explaining it or a poor job explaining it. And both times the amount of positivity in the second one was much greater than on the first, even though the first was really, really good. So I think on balance, we're on the right track. We're never going to cross every T and dot every I and make everybody happy, but our goal is to give something that to the community, I think that on balance, everybody would be super proud of. So I think we're on track for that. We get together tomorrow at 2, a subcommittee. I understand that it's last call, so to speak, for everything that we're going to include on it. And then FRS should have the pricing a couple weeks thereafter, something like that. So we're on track. So the goal would be and I may end up doing a special session if we get the pricing earlier, just so we can sort of get out in front of it. But I want to give everybody a long chance to kind of chew on it, whatever it comes back, because I honestly don't even know yet. And then have our July meeting where we'll have direction on it, and then if everybody's pleased with or unified in the direction, or a majority are unified in the direction, we will forward it to council and move forward. So yeah, so tomorrow, the subcommittee, I think Marilyn, I don't know if you're going to be there. Tony hopefully will be there.
I'll try.
Okay.
I'll try. I might have a meeting, but I'll try.
Okay, cool, yeah, so it's same bat time, same bat station as usual, so it's 2 o'clock over there, it's just, but yeah, so it's an important one, and we'll go from there. So did I miss anything?
Did you want me to touch on the grants?
Please do.
So just giving you an update where we are with the grants. So we checked in with Congressman James' office to find out where that is going. That's with the federal dollars, and we are still in the queue. Linda Davis-Kirksey, I chatted with her at the last council meeting, and she said that they're a little bit backed up and going through everything, but we are still on track. You never know, but in talking with, at State of the City, we talked to Congressman James's people that were there, and they feel very positive about it. Linda additionally felt positive about it. So fingers crossed, we're supposed to get notification one way or the other by the end of the summer. So we're excited about that one. And then the next grant application that's going in is for the revitalization and placemaking grant, REP 2.0, that Marilyn had mentioned. So that one is a collaboration between Oakland County and the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So essentially what the county is doing, and my understanding is there are other counties doing this, they were allowed to apply for what they call a sub-grant program. What they had found last time when they did RAP last year is that the Tri-County area was very underserved in terms of awards of projects. For whatever reason. So they offered, a lot of the counties made noise that they felt like they didn't get equal representation in terms of the award distribution. So they offered the opportunity if a county wanted to partner with their communities, and in this case, Oakland, it's Main Street Oakland County that's taking the lead, that they gather together 14 different projects from the municipalities, specifically the DDAs, that they wanted to move forward. And so that is going to be, we have to have everything in on Friday to the county, which then they're going to package because there's a whole part of the subgrant they have to do, and then forward those applications as a complete presentation to MEDC by the 30th. They will then review that, and then they would not approve our projects, but approve the subgrant with all of our projects there, and then it would be up to the county to evaluate and distribute funds to the projects. In addition to the $7 million they're requesting from the state, the Oakland County also, because DDA's never received any ARPA dollars, they have some ARPA dollars left at the county, and so Commissioner Woodward and Dave Coulter have also banded together to give a letter of support that they would allocate $4 million of ARPA funds. So the whole fund would be $11 million coming between MEDC and the county. Lots of, as you can tell, there's lots of if comes, if this happens and this happens and this happens. So don't know, through the MEDC, the maximum grant is $1 million, the minimum is $250,000. And it's based on the percentage of project and the local match. So that's where we are. We were at council last week because they have some tiebreaker questions, and so I'm trying to get us all the points we can. And one of the tiebreaker questions was having a letter of support from the city council, so there I was. And then another one, we've had weekly wrap calls with the county to make sure that we're all getting our things together. They're helping us with our aerials and a lot of other mapping that we need, but they said that they think it would be an added bonus if you could get one from your DDA. We also have to have one from the city manager. Hi. But you know about that. So that's going to be added on to the, this agenda item in particular.
Yeah, no, I think actually we can do it now. So this, it's a resolution of support for the project to submit to Oakland County for the REP. And as luck would have it, it's the exact same language that was used in the one that we sent to Congressman James' office. It just changed the recipient, as it were. So.
I figured since everybody liked it last time, I'd just not mess with it.
Yeah, it's perfect. So I'm happy to read it if you guys want. It's the exact same one that we did to Rep. James. But we do need a resolution from council, from DDA, sorry, Freudian slip, from DDA to submit this forward, and then I'll go ahead and sign it. So it's just it's a letter of support for the project and asking for the funds. So anybody care to make a motion to?
I'll make a motion to support that.
Motion by Haig,
I'll second it.
support by Bloomingdale. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
If you can sign that one you have right there and then just pass it down.
So I got a question.
Efficiency.
Thank you. I have a big checklist, so thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I see in here, so, the city council is waiting for a final project to review. Is the ice rink going to be part of that? I mean, I see that on here.
I hope so, as a personal thing. It's just gonna be, I don't have any numbers to give you yet, so yeah, but by the
I
time
mean,
you
are we
get.
getting numbers for that?
Yeah, 100%. Are you kidding me? That's like,
I hope so too.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
of all the things that I want, are the bathroom and the ice skating rink, everything else you guys can do. But yeah, no, that'd be awesome. The problem, well, we'll get into the numbers later, but there were some issues with respect to the permanent, or the, you know, like the one that was in the presentation is actually in Warren with the thing in it, and it's got a chiller. I don't even know if they got like a mini Zamboni or something that they do it with, but the other is the fake, and somebody had mentioned that over time, the fake starts separating a little bit, and you have like, yeah, it's like you have jumps, speed bumps. So I'm not sure the speed bumps would work. So anyway, so your answer to your question is yes, it's on the thing, and
And they're pricing
it's
it
a
both
little,
ways.
little swag I have in the whole deal, but I'm trying to, you know, we'll make sure we get some numbers for you guys on that as well. But yeah, so that, actually, that's what the meeting tomorrow is, to make sure we have all the elements in so they can get the final pricing in, so. We're tracking to get, as I said earlier in my presentation, we're tracking to get the numbers hopefully within 2 weeks. I'll call a special DDA meeting to the extent that we have them before our next regularly scheduled, so you guys all have some time for it, to kind of go over it, and then we'll take action on the regularly scheduled meeting in July, which would then forward to council that following Monday, and then council would have until the third week of August or second week of August, whatever your first meeting is. So you'll have about 21 days to sort of chew on it. That's the plan, so best laid plans, but that's what we're working on at the moment. And that would be the update. Any questions? Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Main Street Now conference presentation. Ladies, finally get up here and do your thing.
Hello, everyone. I guess we're gonna go on a little bit of a mental time machine for a second back to April. It was at that time that the DDA staff traveled to Boston for the Main Street Now conference, which is an annual conference that we've attended and discussed here before. That consists of 3 days of education pertaining to all things Main Street. Each day that we were there, we were not only immersed in educational sessions, but we took the time to see the city as well. For anyone that's had spent time in Boston knows that it's just a ton of history and vibrancy in that area. So we made a point to do quite a few walking tours, seeing the Freedom Trail. At one point ended up on the north end of town, which is very much rooted in Italian culture. And we even made a little side trip to Salem, which was a personal interest of mine. For anyone that has seen the Disney movie Hocus Pocus, that was my only goal of going to Salem. But it was a true representation of a town that is a tourist destination. I think their entire function is just based on probably the month of October. So it was really interesting to see. Not only was Jenna, myself, and Christy in attendance, but we took with us, for anyone that's familiar with Jill Lutz, she's a member of the Blake Team Realty in town, but she's also a PSD board member, and then City Council member Mark Albrecht was with us. Mark actually spoke at the conference, did a session on partnership of Main Street with civic leaders, so it was kind of a nice touch for our former chair member and now council member, so it was good to see Mark representing. But the National Main Street Organization has always focused on what they call their 4-pillar approach. For anyone that's not familiar, that is design, organization, promotions, and economic vitality. Main Street's now entering over 40 years. So they're kind of revisiting who they are as an organization and the topics that they discuss. In this modern day, whether it's post-COVID or just things that come up in your Main Street in 2023, they are trying to take a deeper look into successful communities and what they can do to propel conversation and continued education. So this year's conference focused on 3 different kind of topics. The first being community wealth building and shared prosperity. The second being resilient and future-focused Main Street. And the third being building community connections. As a group, we saw those themes throughout a lot of the sessions that we attended, whether that was about public art projects, supporting of entrepreneurs, or a big topic was equity and inclusion. But when we came together as a team and chatted about the sessions that we attended, some common words that we kept using, almost buzzwords, were community, connection, and collaboration. And so those are a couple things that we want to touch on through our presentation today. The first session worth mentioning is one that was called Next Gen Main Street. That might be a familiar phrase for a few of us. I know last summer we visited with Matt Wagner, who's of Main Street America, to discuss what they're calling a...
She's gonna click for you.
Oh. That's the photo of Boston. Sorry, I forgot I'm clicking today. Boston was great. Now we're on to Next Gen Main Street, which is, that photo's of John Bry, our Oakland County representative. But, so Next Gen is a pilot program that Rochester participated as of one of 4 successful communities. We were deemed a successful community not only because of our long-maintained occupancy rate, but also the way that we've kind of expanded within the community and beyond our reach, the way that we've engaged with residents and the greater area, amongst probably a few other reasons. But so Matt Wagner presented kind of on our involvement of being a part of this case study, which was really kind of fun to see Rochester in a different light. But there was kind of two key takeaways to Matt Wagner's session. One being that successful communities such as ourselves, we check a lot of boxes. So, what are the ways that Main Street American can continue to educate us and elevate certain tools for us to, in our own right, continue to grow, as well as offering our services as a successful community, teaching other up-and-coming communities and using our successes as a framework for others. So it was kind of 2 parts, but it was just, a nice reminder to see that, we're doing good here in Rochester, and a little reminder of that, but there's a lot of room for growth in other topics and categories. A personal favorite of mine, or session that I attended, was one called Get Hyped, Turning Community Cheerleaders into Social Influencers. I am a millennial, I am on Instagram, and there's a lot of influencers, so there was a lot of topics here too of interest. But this session focused on a case study with Macon, Georgia. Macon, Georgia is a city of 180,000 strong, but a downtown that could use a lot of revitalization. So that is a lot of their focus, repurposing and putting businesses in their downtown. As we're very familiar with new developments in any city, there often can be a lot of different narratives. One narrative being residents wanting, their town to remain the way it once was, and then the more progressive approach where they're excited by the potential of what could be to come. We hear that here in Rochester, and we see that all over the country, I'm sure. But in this day and age, in 2023, where do you want your voice to be heard but on Facebook, Instagram, or other social media platforms? So Macon took an especial interest in sometimes those negative comments that will come up, that they would post about, an exciting new business moving into town, or a building being rehabbed, and someone kind of dampening that excitement of revitalization. And so they wanted a way to break through that noise, and so they started what they called their hype team. So the hype team is composed of local community members who share a passion for progress happening in their downtown. Macon annually puts out an application for their hype team. Really the only requirement to be on said team is to have an active and positive social media presence. They essentially approve anyone under those guidelines, and also someone that has an interest in the town. And they engage with those applications. They bring them on board through a one-day training, give them a volunteer t-shirt, but they essentially empower them to become ambassadors in their city. So, anyone on the hype team does volunteer a certain amount of hours throughout the year at downtown events. They're empowered to, answer questions for attendees or guests alike, help them with parking, give them recommendations, or simply just help event cleanup. But the most fascinating part of the hype team is that downtown Macon as they are working to promote their events, will send each of their team members social media copy and a photo for them to post on their own personal social media pages. And that's a way to really get out this continual positive messaging about what they're doing and what they have going on. Fun fact, in this day and age, for anyone, for a marketing message to resonate with anyone, you have to either interact or see it or hear it at least 10 different times for it to resonate with you. That number was previously 5 times. So just because of the sheer amount of information that we're intaking every day, this was another way for a city organization to try to, not just sit in the void, but have success with their social media or marketing or just awareness of what they are doing. So this was a great way for MACON to increase their numbers in their community in terms of attendance, positive experiences, and just overall success. In addition, my personal favorite is, if you haven't noticed the cute dog on the right-hand side, they have hype hounds as well. So if anyone has a dog that has an Instagram page, they give them a bandana and also empower them to post the positive messages of their city. So cute in addition to fun. But yeah, this was a great way for the town to instill, to become a destination and somewhere people want to be. We definitely have this organically in Rochester, so it's not that we're necessarily missing this, but I think it could be a tool in future to empower people to continually invest with us and also just get a positive narrative out there, at different times of the year. But Jen's going to talk about business incubators. Yes. To change topic.
A session that I attended at the Main Street Conference, Christy actually was in the room and we had no idea we went to the same session, which was a surprise.
I think I was
after.
behind the pole. I don't know. We didn't see each other.
It was an entrepreneur boot camp. It was hosted by individuals from Emporia, Kansas. Emporia has a population of 24,000 people, and the average age in Emporia is 26. And they, this particular city had realized that there's a lot of young people who are interested in becoming a business owner. So this particular session, they spoke about a boot camp called Start Your Own Business Course. Since Emporia started their course, it helped expand over 100 entrepreneurial businesses in their area. So the course itself, it was 5 to 6 weeks. They met twice a week for 3 hours. They each individual paid $100, so you had a buy-in, so you wouldn't miss out on a course. And then they would have a local sponsor who was able to pay the rest off. It was hosted at a local university. The course itself, they had about 10 classes, so they covered the following topics, which were cash flow, financing, marketing, insurance, taxation, legal structures, site selection, business expansion, human resource management, daily operation, business plans, and more. If you visit Downtown Emporia's website, you can find a full list of explanation of each class. It just seems like it pretty much follows what you need to know to start your own business. So at the end of these courses, each entrepreneur would have a pitch. So the winning pitch would be able to utilize this business incubator. So the business incubator is a flex space that could host a variety of different businesses. So it might be this particular business is right in town, Emporia, Kansas, and if you win, you get 6 months rent free, and then you either continue to pay rent or you grow your business where you can move into a different location in the town or in a nearby city. And what happened with the business incubator is that it became a destination for Emporia, Kansas. People were really intrigued in seeing what was new, what's happening in town, what's the new business in the incubator, so that it was a draw for community members and beyond to come visit their city to check it out. So how it relates with us, we know that there's a lot of interest in our town with our events like the Makers Market, Farmers Market, and our Kris Kringle Market. We have a lot of small businesses that don't necessarily have a brick and mortar here in Rochester. So I feel like this could potentially, we could maybe adopt this concept. Maybe in a vacant spot here, I know we don't have many, but I think it could be perhaps a collaboration with Rochester Hills. So we could maybe work together to bring new small businesses to our area. So that was, they invested in businesses, but investment doesn't always mean business. Christy will talk about community investment.
We split up the presentation if you couldn't tell. Nice job, ladies. So one of the themes that we heard quite a bit about, I'm just gonna move this a little bit, is about community investing in community. This is something that I've talked about quite a bit, and Nick could certainly speak to it as well, that the investment that we've seen over the last couple of years are people that live in the general area. Glenn and the Roxy, they live in Rochester Hills. Anybody that's been opening businesses down here, they live here, or they've always wanted to be a part of this community and they've reinvested here. And Tanya's, talking about more projects. Everybody's looking at what else can we be doing here. And so I kind of, with that lens, when I attended the conference, I tried to look at more things like that because we kept hearing about that. One thing that I went to that I thought was interesting, and this may seem familiar to you, and I'll tell you why in a second. So there's an event, actually, they did it in Emporia, they did it in Virginia. There's a lot of different towns doing similar things like this. So essentially what it is that someone could come in and pitch you an idea. So people would buy a ticket from the community. You buy a ticket for $10. And then with that $10, that goes into a pot. And then they have entrepreneurs that can do presentations. Sometimes it's entrepreneurs, sometimes it's community members that want to perhaps maybe do a mural in town or introduce something new to the community. The idea is something that would better the community. So there's usually 4 people that do a presentation, and then the people at the tables, they get to actually vote. So they get 10 votes with their $10 that they paid, and they get to put it in the buckets of whichever project they would like to see happening in their community. So at the end of the night, there will be one person walking out with the kitty of that money, along with any sponsor dollars that they may have. So someone could walk out of there with $1,000 to possibly bring a new product line into their business. Or somebody that's a teenager that really feels like we should have a little library downtown and wants to build one of those, and it gives them funding for that. So it's interesting when you talk about that entrepreneurial spirit, and that's exactly what Jen was saying. With all of our markets that we do, we seem to be in the market business lately, but it's because so many people started these types of businesses pre-COVID and then during COVID, since they were home, this is what they built out. But a lot of them are finding now that they can't just live on the online. A lot of people are like, oh, everything's online. Not necessarily. Even Amazon is talking about doing these smaller brick and mortar footprints because they know people want to physically come in and have that experience. Gen Z that's coming up, they're the first generation that has grown up with a device in their hand. I know you've heard me say this a million times, but it's so very important because you would think that they want an online experience. They do not. I am living with a Gen Zer right now. She researches everything to death on her phone, but then she wants to go to the physical location because she wants to have an experience when she gets it. And that's what I think is interesting with this. The reason this might seem familiar to you, as you may recall, pre-COVID, when we first introduced the Front Porch Project, we had a concept called Mike's and Mac. And the idea was that people could come, they would pay their ticket, they would get a little mac and cheese, hear presentations. It wasn't necessarily entrepreneurial, but it was something that would benefit the community. Ours was modeled after Detroit Soup, which is a really popular event where they give you soup and bread, and it's the same kind of concept. I think this is something that we should be circling back to, because I think whether it's looking at it with an entrepreneur lens and seeing if we might be able to engage people that way, or if it's another way, just like we have already been doing with all of our different programming downtown, of engaging the community again, the greater community, and seeing what else they would like to see in our downtown, and if there's ways that we can support it. And it's not anything that necessarily we would have to pay for out of DDA funds. We can get sponsors to sponsor the food, and then the people come in and they buy their ticket. So really, it's just more of us being a vessel and a mechanism to make something like this happen. So these were the 3 things that Taylor talked about at the very beginning, and I kind of wanted to tie it up with a bow here. So building resilient and future-focused Main Streets. When I sat in the Next Gen session, I can't tell you how many people, I was sitting there actually with the state coordinator with Kentucky Main Street, Kitty Duguid. I love that name. I just love to say it. So Kitty was sitting next to me and she's like, honey, this is Kentucky all day long. I'm like, great, glad to hear it. So many people are coming up saying, this is me. I've been looking for this because they've been in Main Street for 20, 25, 30 years. And they love Main Street. They want to keep doing Main Street, but they feel like we do. We've kind of gotten to the pinnacle. What's next? And so a lot of people came up afterwards, talked to Matt Wagner from Main Street America, told him they're interested in this program. I just talked to John about it last week. He said they're in a holding pattern, just waiting for the new CEO to come in, and then they're going to figure out what the priorities are, but that Main Street Next Gen is definitely on their agenda, which is great. So hopefully we'll be hearing more about that. But it was nice to see something that started as a pilot in Oakland County actually resonated nationally. So, and it was nice to see our photos up there too. Community wealth building and shared prosperity. I think a lot of this goes back to, the Mike's and Matt concept, the show of hands. It's all about people investing in their own downtown. So I was just at a Main Street managers meeting last week, and there's this new app. It's through, you may recall Patronicity. We did the crowdfunding with them through Oakland County. It's kind of like a Kickstarter, but on a local basis. They work with municipalities. They have a spin-off company that they have right now called Mainvest. And the idea is that, for instance, let's say that Tanya wants to expand her business and she needs fund. I'm sorry, Tanya, I'm using you because, we've been talking about stuff. And she wants to maybe lease a bigger space. But instead of going to a bank, she could go and have her own crowdfunding, if you will, on this site. But the idea is that you would kick in the money, and the point of entry is like $100. And then that person, they're investing in your business, and then they get, at the end of the return, they get, on top of that 15% or whatever their return is. So the idea behind that is that rather than going out to a bank and getting a loan, you're going to the community. So just think about it. If Tanya does that and Ben, you decide you're going to invest $500, then aren't you going to be sharing out what Tanya's doing about her business because you want to get your investment back?
5,000.
Thank you, Tony.
But it's that kind of thing. So this is already out there happening, and I think it's just starting to elevate for our point of conversation. The other thing about Mainvest is that they're also partnering with angel investors. So for instance, they have ones that want to invest in bakeries. So if you reach a certain level of investment on your own that you were able to do through their platform, then they're going to graduate you to the next level and then introduce you to, we have a pool of angel investors that love bakeries. So we are going to show them your product and see if we can get them to do that for you. It's for new entrepreneurs, it's for existing entrepreneurs that want to expand or add a new component to their business. So I thought that was really interesting, and I think we're going to see more of that over and over. The people that are coming to us are investing locally, and that's what we want to build on. And these community relationships, this going out beyond our borders that was mentioned, that's exactly what we've been doing. We've been forming these relationships. That's why for Fire and Ice 2 years ago, when we wanted fireworks, but I told everyone, I needed $10,000 for that, and I had it in my hand in 3 hours, just by putting it on a Love Local. Because we have these people that want to invest because they love what we're doing down here, and they love the sense of community and being a part of it because it's their place. And then building community connections, all one big circle. See what I did there? So it just comes back to like the art committee that we've been doing, the front porch project, everything that we're doing right now. In addition to, we're still maintaining everything. We're doing the light poles, the plantings, the mulch, all the things that need to be done. We're helping the existing businesses, but at the same time, we're building community. The reason Rochester was successful through COVID is because we all banded together, because we knew that this was a place that was important to us and that we wanted it to be successful. We wanted it to continue. We wanted it to survive. And we hit the mark and went above some. But I don't think that's time for us to lay off the gas pedal. I think it's time to actually double down on what we've been building, because that's why we still have this high occupancy rate. That's why when we put out a call for volunteers, we've got people waiting in the wings that want to step up. That's why I have a bunch of people showing up at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to talk about Christmas trees, because it's the 10th anniversary of Festival of Trees. It just keeps happening that what we do, we can't do without everybody chipping in. More hands make light work. It takes a village. All the cliches are out there. But that's really, I think, finally at national, they're hearing all of those things and are really raising that conversation beyond those 4 points that we've heard about for so many years. And I think that's why we all came back and had the same, went to different sessions, but came back with the same shared experience about community and connecting. Did I miss anything?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Does anybody have any questions?
Where do you envision this to live at, BizDev, or?
I think business development, I
Yeah.
do. The one for, if we wanted to do something like the show of hands. I'm not quite sure where that would live. We could probably internally start noodling that out, and then once it kind of starts to show up, if it goes in an entrepreneurial direction, it should live at BizDev.
Yeah.
If it goes more of a community thing, maybe toward local art, or maybe it's something that we do internally and bring back to the board, just because I think it would be a small start, and then it would pick up momentum.
Sure. I mean, in terms of the entrepreneurial thing, I think you would find, I mean, I'm certainly happy to donate some time, energy, effort, and life force to that, since that's kind of what I do for a living. But I suspect there'll be others in the community that would equally as interested to share their, life experiences. And I happen to know a pretty good HR guy that could come in there and do a little HR pitch. So, yeah, no, I would just TO it to BizDev and say, hey, look, nothing for nothing, come back with a plan, and let's,
I think it'd be interesting. I talked to Nick a little bit about it when I was actually there. I was calling him, and he said, yeah, because we could put people through the boot camp, but we only have physically so many spaces
Sure.
downtown. So it'd be a great opportunity to have some partnership with the Hills, because while they have high occupancy rates, I'm sure that they have just physically more space
sure.
that they could point
Well, I
entrepreneurs
would
to.
imagine Chief will let us use the thing at the firehouse.
Oh, I'm sure.
For training, so,
Or Chief Financial
Chief
too. Yeah,
Financial,
they want us up there in the worst way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, lots of opportunities. So come back and, keep your foot on the gas.
Okay.
Very good. Thanks for the presentation, guys. Christy and Tony, the Bill Puma Community Spirit Award.
Okay, I'll take the. Okay, on July 5th, the DDA, we're opening the call for nominations for the second annual Bill Puma Spirit Award. We're looking for someone that has pride and spirit and who truly loves this city, as I do. My whole family is proud to be a part of this community. This award is really an honor for my father and my family. Nominees must be property owners, downtown business owners, or downtown employees. The winner of this award will get a free party, a hot dog party at La Puma's, and their name will go on the plaque outside La Puma's Coney Island. So, and the last two people that had it last year, it was just a great night. We had a ball there. I had as much fun as they did. So I'm looking forward to, we had a good turnout last year.
We had a good turnout, and Jody brought cake, and it was really nice.
It was great. It was really good.
That's awesome. All right, well,
Okay.
the call has gone out.
Yeah, July 5th is open. We're open for the nominations.
All right, very good. So get them, who do we submit them to?
So when we put it out, there'll be a link online. So it's all online submissions. It's a very easy Google form. People can just cut and paste, and they just have to tell us why they think that is the person.
All right, so for more information, go to the DDA website?
Yep, it'll be up, like I said, right after 4th of July. So people have a month window to submit nominations.
Fantastic. So awesome. And the hot dog party is well worth the price of admission. Any questions? All right, thank you for that, Tony, appreciate it. DDA staff wage increase, moi. Okay, so this, I understand from our finance director, is a procedural thing. Apparently, we didn't, in the budget that was approved, there was a pay adjustment for our director that Anthony says we need to do a motion on, so that's what's in the packet. So it's more or less just procedures, I guess, that's what I was told, so.
That's what I was told
Anyway,
as
I
well.
can't make motions, so if there's.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Hague,
I'll second it.
support by La Puma, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. You betcha. Downtown Maintenance Walk, Mr. La Puma.
Well, that day is July 17th. The site committee will be there, but everyone on the board is welcome to do this. It's 8:30. It takes a couple hours, and it's a fun morning.
It is a
We
nice
look at town, we want to keep our town pristine. So whoever wants to make it, we're open.
And Tony brings donuts.
I'll bring the donuts.
So typically in the past, we've met at the studio and leave from there.
Yep.
And that
What time
is-
in the morning?
What date?
July 17th.
July 17th.
8:30.
That's for the board only, right?
No, you can come.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
It's nothing like going for a walk downtown in
it's
the
a
morning.
nice,
and
if it's a nice,
Just wear
great
comfy
way to start
shoes.
the day.
Yeah, right,
Honeys.
totally. Yeah, so, all right, so that's good news. So we look forward to that every year, and as Chief Cieslik would say, give us an opportunity to step up the politeness. Okay, receipt of regular reports, Executive Director update, Madam Director.
Yes, Two things. One, we've, through business development, we took advantage of another service from Main Street Oakland County. We did this back in 2021, I believe, with Eric Phillips from Main Street Oakland County. Many of you may know him from different meetings that he's attended. He actually was to work with the One Stop Shop at the county, and so he does small business counseling. And so we had him in last Wednesday and then again today, and he saw a total of 10 downtown businesses, talking to them about expansion, about concerns, questions, whatever, and then he's going to follow up with them and give them more resources and support from the county. And we've already heard that it was good. Tanya participated in one. She said it was definitely worthwhile, which is great. And then secondly, the shop, Main Street Oakland County, I mentioned this at our last meeting. We're selected as a pilot. People like to use us as a pilot. So we're one of 8 or 9 communities. I say 8 or 9 because there's still one community that's not quite sure yet, that is doing this member marketplace. It's based on a Shop Main Street, Iowa platform that was created. The idea is that, again, we were just talking about online, that there are still some small businesses that don't have an online presence. Whether it's, they're just small business and they just can't figure it out, that they're a longstanding business and they don't have the technology to figure it out. There's some barrier, just intimidation of the technology. So this is to take that away from them. There's no cost to our businesses to participate. They have the opportunity, they can put products up there. They have to be somebody that retails product, or you could sell a gift certificate. It can't be for services. It has to be for an actual physical product. And then you can either ship, or you can even say just in-store pickup. So just trying to remove all the barriers possible. The idea behind the Shop Oakland site is that Main Street Oakland County will put the county's marketing muscle behind it to put it out there, and then as communities are onboarded with it, we'll all be sharing it out. They'll have a social media week. Each week, every community gets a week where we get a social media takeover of, I'm looking at Taylor, social media takeover, hi, for their Facebook and Instagram that they're going to create for this platform once it gets up and running, that a community will get to take it over the week and promote all the products and things like that. So they're hosting an onboarding and informational webinar next Monday, so I had put it out to the businesses on this past Monday to ask anyone that's interested, sending them the vendor information and then also the information for the webinar. And I had 13 businesses reach out. So we're excited. We'll see if all of those on board. Their goal for each community is to have 3. So of course we're overachieving and it's fine. So we'll keep everybody posted. But again, this is a program through Main Street Oakland County that they are hosting the lion's share of it in terms of cost. And then for us to participate, it's $1,500, which came out of our Love Local funds. So we're excited to see where this goes. It should be interesting. We're going to be on there as a vendor as well, selling some of our Rochester and Love Local things, so then we can experience it like our businesses, so we know how it's working and how it's interacting, so then we can have a meaningful discussion with them about how they could be improving and doing different things. So that is supposed to be launching in July 19th, I believe, is the date. So I'll keep everybody posted, and we're excited. So actually that happens to be our next DDA meeting, so I may throw that on the agenda and then pull it up so everybody can take a peek at it and see where we're going. So fingers crossed that we launch at that time, but I think that's all that I had.
Okay, events and marketing?
Hello, ladies.
Hello again.
Live updates.
I do feel like I'm on the weather here, but if anyone is available on Saturday, please come and join us for our first ever Makers Market. That will be on West 4th Street from 10 to 4. We'll have about 40 artists and crafter vendors that will be selling throughout the day. We're very excited. They're wide-ranging in terms of beautiful woodworking, candles, leather, crocheting, all kinds of different mediums. So we're very excited to incorporate another market, as we touched on a little bit earlier. We will, of course, have some live musical entertainment from 10 to 2, and we've also added a chalk artist to the mix. She's a local woman from Romeo who will be creating a chalk mural piece from 9 to 3, so she'll have some engaging, experiential offering for the day, as well as we have a few vendors that are interesting permanent jewelry, if anyone's familiar with that. We have a woman doing, her business is called Typewriter Arts, so she'll have like a 5-minute conversation with you and then create you a beautiful poem on this beautiful cardstock, and you walk away with kind of a great memento, and a few others that are doing kind of these experiential booths throughout the day. So we're very excited to kick that off this Saturday. Oh, and most importantly, thank you, we will be giving
But
away
wait, there's more.
300 tote bags, Maker's Market cute orange tote bags. So if you're one of the first 300 customers, you'll get one of those as well, which is fun. Everyone likes a free tote bag. In addition, we have the farmer's market season ongoing. We've had beautiful sunny skies as far as the market season goes, but really not a ton of rain, so everyone be patient with your slow producing produce. We've hired a new market manager. Her name is Pip or Philippa, but she goes by Pip. So I've been training her for the last month, getting her comfortable with the farmer's market season. She's a local resident and also a staff over at Rochester Mills Beer Co. So a local girl that really is invested in events and the farmer's market. More importantly, mark your calendars for July 22nd. We are starting a new program at the farmers market called Dog Days of Summer. So we'll be giving out, I have a dog, I like dogs, it's obviously a common theme, but we're giving out local pup bandanas to market customers and their dogs. We'll have Leader Dog for the Blind on site talking about their puppy raisers and puppy adopting program, as well as a photo op opportunity with you and your pup at the farmers market. So we're very excited for that as well.
We are soon approaching what we call our Summer Thunderdome, which kicks off with sidewalk sales. Sidewalk sales is July 13th, 14th, and 15th. We have businesses setting up booths outside on Main Street. A couple of businesses who are not on Main Street are adopting a space. We have the Neighborhood House joining us, so a couple of nonprofits that will be selling merchandise or giving away like promo pieces, things like that. So it should be a fun event. That Friday of sidewalk sales, we are hosting Dancing in the Street. So July 14th, Your Generation in concert will be performing. We're really excited because they perform from 7 to 10 with no breaks. So we'll have the party going the whole time, and we're extra excited that the Rochester Corner Bar will be serving beer and wine at the event. So you can purchase a alcohol beverage, stick around, dance the night away. It'll be a fun time. Following Friday, after Friday, we start our movie series. So they're 4 consecutive Saturdays, July 15th, July 22nd, July 29th, and August 5th. In the packet is our movie lineup. We have Top Gun, DC League of Super Pets, Spider-Man, and we'll finish it off with Moana. So we'll be busy the next couple weeks, but it's nothing that we haven't done before. We're really excited to host those events.
Fantastic. Nice job as usual. The bar continues to get raised. We appreciate any questions for the team. Seeing none. Financial report is in the packet. If there's any questions, feel free to pass them along to myself or the director. BizDev.
BizDev, I will say we had a meeting today, and Nick said a lot at the meeting, and I'll probably let him say some stuff tonight because he's faster and better at that than I. And we had a great meeting, though, about how busy Rochester is and what's coming up in business, and just how we're so lucky to have, I'm going to say, Christie and the DDA here. Okay.
Oh, well, we didn't talk about that at the meeting, but thank you.
No, that's
And
my.
I'll talk about it now. What these three do.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't get it. This town's always hot. We talk about the Thunderdome in the winter. They have the summer also. So appreciate all the time you guys give up on your weekends even to do all these events for the community. It's awesome. Really, it was just I don't want to do a whole economic development update. We did that last time, but some of the big projects that have come up. So like I spoke, the Mosheri project, they're starting the demolition, but they're actually going with their project to the Planning Commission in July. Rewald submitted his plans for a 30,000 square foot, 3-story building that's part market, restaurant on the first floor, office on the second floor, office on the third floor. It's in front of his headquarter building along the river. So they will have an outdoor seating area. It's pretty nice. So that probably won't make it till August to the Planning Commission because he's got some things he has to do. We're looking at a comprehensive traffic analysis of the area because we know with them building, Rewald building, Mosheri building, and then Mr. Bill Fox, but not the Bill Fox, that was from the dealership, who is a partner of Mr. Suave. So you always hear Suave Enterprises. It's really Tony Suave and Bill Fox. Bill's basically an equal partner. He's 75 years old, sharp as a tack, and he came in, it's like, Nick, so we have 5 projects on our books at Suave. One's in Iowa, one's in Florida, one's in Shelby Township, and 2 are in Rochester. We're out of pocket $38 million on those already. We haven't broke ground on any of them. So, first 2 priorities, Rochester, Overlook and Milltown. So he said, you're gonna see in the next couple months our new plans for those condos, apartments, a village, et cetera. So, again, knowing all that's coming, we wanna make sure we have a comprehensive traffic analysis of how we're gonna handle all this. Joey LaChurco is this old cement plant. He scaled down his development. It's like 55 units now, a 4-story building. He's got his stuff in for review now. That'll probably be at the Planning Commission in August. So, Mayor, you're gonna have some busy meetings that we're going forward. And then next to that was the old 210 diversion. It's right around the bend by the bridge abutment. Believe it or not, there's a 1-acre parcel there that they're looking at like 13 condos to go there also. Patty's still trying to work out her deal, Patty Eisenbrown, for the Brown Iron Brewery, and on and on and on. So there's basically 1 vacancy in town, which was the old Macaron place. And we're just jockeying around different people that are coming in. The ordinance, the Roger Knapp ordinance, I call it, that's stopped people from putting office on the first floor is working. Because the first call we get on any vacancy, boom, is an office. And we're able to kindly say, can't do it. You can do it upstairs, but you can't do it on the first floor. And it's working out just fine so far, which is gonna keep intact this opportunity for retail and service on the first floor. So that's all good. The one that's kind of throwing us is FedEx keeps talking about taking the winery, the Pat Mulrenan's old place. Why would they give up a parking lot in their own building to move in there? We don't understand, but they are going through the motions. We'll see what happens with them. So if you hear that rumor, if I may, just under miscellaneous quick, Monday our new police chief starts, George Rowe. I'll bring him here to introduce him. Chief Steve is going to stay around for a transition. So big, massive shoes to fill. We want it to be a smooth transition. We just lost Paul Cars, Officer Cars retired. We had his going away party a couple of weeks ago. Yuli Hernandez is retiring as a sergeant, and Mike Bancini's retiring. So we're gonna have 2 new sergeants, a new chief. That's a big deal. So we're lucky to have Chief Steve stay around in the transition. George and him talk a lot already, and they'll be able to work with me and our staff to make this transition as smooth as possible. So I will bring him in so he can meet everybody. And he's a great listener. He's got great experience, 26 years, so we're not getting some rookie here. And I think you'll enjoy him and what he's got to bring to the table for our community, so we're excited about that.
Where'd he come from?
He was in Fraser for like 26 years, then he retired, but then East Detroit, East Point now, talked him out of retirement, and he went to Macomb Community College because he got bored. He's a workaholic, so he got bored really quickly when he retired. Went to Macomb, ran their whole system for a year, then he grew up in East Point. So then he went back there for the last, I think, 6 years, and that's a challenge. So he's ready to have a little less stress, I think, than East Point. It's tough down there. So he's been around for 36 years total doing this. So a lot of energy, super energy guy. And he lives in Macomb, but they're just building a house in Lake Orion, so he's kind of in between. This is their downtown. I've seen him before, didn't know who he was in town. They were here a lot, so him and his wife and his kids, so it should be good. We're excited to have him on board.
Well, we're looking forward to meeting him, so. Yes, sir.
Anything more happen on that village cleaner property, those 2 properties?
So I have not got official documents, but I always test the waters. Remind me of something else. I'd send someone to Mr. Riley, who owns the collision shop, and they're all told, they consistently are told it's under contract. So again, it's Chris Parrott from Dan's and Anthony Lombardo from Lombardo Homes. I met with their architect about 2 months ago. They were in the drawing stages, meeting with the engineer, so I suspect everything is on track. It takes a few months for them to get here, but it's condos and an office on the first floor. And today I finally saw activity at Ferndale and Glendale. Looks like Mr. Schneider got his financing, so they're starting to get the scaffolding ready to start work again to finish those 10 condos. So it's been sitting there a long time. That was unfortunate, but that should get cranked up again, so.
I have a couple.
Sure.
Couple more. When they're what did you say was gonna be on the first floor of that condo project?
He says office. I think he's got an office tenant. Yeah, which is fine, 'cause it's south, it's his office, actually, it's Dan's excavating most of it.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I better if they're trying to do retail down there with lack of
It
parking.
would,
Yeah, it'd be
no
horrible.
parking, yeah, it would be horrible, so I agree.
My last question is, I'm really concerned about, we went to, it was down there to the park during this conference, and like the people that were sitting on our on table, which I knew, they were concerned about parking and losing 78 spots. And I'm concerned about that because years ago, we got that parking lot to get employees on. Now we're moving them out. We're gonna move them back in, 78 cars back into the area where we would like to have customer parking. And I notice I see more and more of these monthly passes in prime spot, almost prime spots, like the second level of, maybe along the alley or for whatever those businesses are, but then right behind that are parking pass, parking pass, parking pass. Well, if we throw 78 more spots up there, I mean, what kind of a plan have we got to park some of these people?
Yeah, I can tell you never, not once, during the day, have we ever got a parking complaint in this community. I've been here 15 years. It might be parking pass people, they work here, they park here. The 78 are people that are paying $0 because they don't want to pay $0. Firestone's full. We opened up the Sergeant lot now, the elevator lot. That's 45 spaces that weren't free before. They are now free. They will remain free. But we don't have a parking problem. Now, if it becomes such a problem at some point, City Council and Plan Commission will have to deal with it again. But at this point, Raj, there's no parking situation.
It's hard for me to believe, I'm not questioning you
Yep.
about this, but it's hard for me to believe on a Friday or Saturday night. that
We're
there's-
full.
That we'd be full, and taking those 78 employees and dumping them into that,
But they would be at the free lot. Now they're paying. And they weren't, if they're getting a permit, at least they're paying $20. But again, we want to be full. That's our goal, is to fill up every space in town. But you can always find a parking spot around here. You might have to drive a block or so. But I always use the example, go to Bass Pro Shop on Saturday at Great Lakes Crossing. You will walk a half a mile to get to the building, just because that's the most convenient parking. So we have outlying parking here that it's available. You might have to walk a couple blocks. If it's raining, I understand it's bad, but the decks aren't, we just filled up 310 people, probably 150 cars that have never been in this town at the same time, Friday and Saturday night, and still the decks weren't full. You might park on the top, but it wasn't full. So we're gauging it. We have awesome equipment now that we can analyze every single spot, what time of the day it's used, when it's used, duration. So we're monitoring that. And Anthony and the chief and I sit down every month, and we go over those reports to make sure that we have opportunities for people. But at this point, it's probably looks worse than it is. I'm not disagreeing. There are permit parkings in there, but we only sell 50% of the open parking for permits. At one point, it got to 57%, because we didn't have a problem, but we won't push it past that, to make sure that there is available parking for people. They will probably take the most simple spots. I think on the parking passes and the decks, it says you have to go to the second level or the third level. You're not supposed to be on the first level. So we can monitor that by looking in their little tags. So we're aware of it. We're trying to be cognizant of it. I'm not going to apologize for losing 78 free spaces, because who says Birmingham doesn't have any free parking? You pay for everything. Almost everybody that has paid parking, everybody pays. Our passes are $20 a month. It's 83 cents a day if you work 40 hours.
That's what I was gonna ask you. How much are that's cheap?
That's nothing.
Birmingham
employees-
raised theirs $20 a
nothing,
month to $150.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you.
We're $20.
Yeah, Birmingham's insane. Plus,
Excuse me, you know how much they pay at Village of Rochester Hills for parking?
But they're, what,
Free.
zero. But yeah, what do you get there? You go to a
yes, the
mall. That's a mall. You don't pay at the mall either.
Yeah,
the business owners pay through their CAM. That's how that is.
Yeah.
It's true.
But I get it. We're monitoring it, and we'll keep monitoring it.
Yeah, in Birmingham, you brought that up, my office happens to be there. So, yeah, it's a fortune. In fact, I think the Birmingham parking budget's like $5 million a year.
They
It's
have
insane.
$34 million in their bank.
Yeah, it's insane. But they do through enforcement, if you are a monthly parker, you have to park in a certain
Yeah.
area, and if you don't, you get a ticket. So it's really just stepping up the politeness, I think.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty good at monitoring it. So I think they can go on the second and third level.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe that's the answer to your question,
Yeah.
is to at least get those prime spots, backed up. But
And Roger is right. I mean, the whole concept, remember when we had the 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hour parking? It was to push the employees out deeper, so the prime spots were open for the retailers. So it's,
How do you decide where I'm not familiar with that part of it. That happened more recently, I think, in a few years. When they sell those passes, who determined what areas that they can park in the pass?
Yep, so you can either buy an east side parking space pass, or a west side of Main Street, or a west deck or an east deck. You can't rotate the floor. So that way we can control the 50% mark of each of those. So 50% of the deck, in theory, could be sold as passes, either decks separately, east side or west side, 50%. We haven't hit that in all.
That's not quite what I meant. I meant the prime spots,
We don't have prime
right in back
spots.
of a meeting.
I can answer this for you.
Okay.
So this was something, because when the passes first went out, we had this response of everyone bought the passes and then they parked, like, for instance, behind Chop House. Everybody parked that first row. So what the rule was that Steve had put into place after evaluating, they observed it, did a little research, the whole thing, is that now if you're going to park, you cannot park in a parking space that you enter from the alley, which was deemed prime parking. So if you can pull back into the alley when you're backing out, you're in the wrong space, and you can't park on the street. So no metered space on side street or Main Street can you use a permit. So it has to be, we're trying to push them back into the lots rather than on the main thing. I don't know if Steve's been going around enforcing that lately. I don't know.
We haven't had any complaints.
Yeah.
They're always enforcing.
There you go. So there's that. So they did, after this first round a couple years ago, many years ago when they started doing this, they identified it was a problem, and so they made sure nothing on street, nothing adjacent to the alley. You have to actually be in the physical parking lot.
And I do know that, like in the Masonic lot, people were starting to sneak in there, and as soon as we got the complaint, nice note goes on the car, don't park here. This is one of the spots that's off the alley. You can't park here. You have to go deeper.
In front of our building, people park, and I always see the officer, and I always announce in the restaurant, is anyone parked illegally? You might want to go out right now, so.
Is there any way to get them in the back of the lots rather than even on the second tier of the alley? I mean,
We could if we go that route, but we haven't gone that route.
Use the Chop House, for example. They said they seat 270 people in there. That's a lot of cars, and just along the alley and on the street, probably just for them alone. I mean, I recall, this has been a few years ago, but a guy was coming to the dairy bar. I didn't have I just leased it out, but they had to come, and the guy was so mad because he had to park in Quick Pick parking lot to get his carryout order. And, that doesn't do well, because I'm sure that guy never came back for a carryout again in that particular time.
I don't even know how that would work.
I'm
That seems crazy.
I mean, that's why you can't use a pass or anything on Main Street. On the streets, hopefully that turns over. But we have a couple of 20-minute.
My point is they're full. I mean,
It's a good problem to have, Roger. It's a good problem.
Yeah, I just.
within reason, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I've been tracking that parking downtown most of my existence because I was in business down there. And it's a problem sometimes. You don't have enough parking, especially when other places have free parking. Restaurants have free parking. Businesses have free parking.
Well, there's no such thing as free parking. Somebody's paying for it, right?
Yeah, we made
There's no
that
such
as a
thing as free
decision
lunch.
to build the parking decks. We needed to monetize it. so.
Just to refresh everyone's memory, the DDA doesn't control the parking system in the city of Rochester, so this entire dialogue that we've talked about, we have absolutely zero input on, aside from the one single parking lot that we do own, that we're trying to do something.
You're taking 78 car spots and taking it out of the market.
Yeah, but
It's the
they're,
only lot the DDA owns, though.
yeah, but of that 78, what is it, 50 or whatever has been opened up and now free at, so 1 block away.
Elevator
So
lot,
it's an issue. We know we're working on it, but there's only so much that this board can do with respect to the parking system, enforcing, monthly passers to park at certain levels. That dialogue has to happen someplace not in this room, unfortunately.
Nick, you told me something a long time ago. Tony, remember this, parking isn't free.
That's right.
I never forgot that. And it's the truth. The more you think about it, it is the God's truth.
Well, so my kids know the 3 rules of life. The number 1 rule of life is when mommy's happy, everyone's happy. So that's number 1. The second one is there's no such thing as a free lunch. So And then the third one is if you're not the customer, you're the product. That's a little bit different story. But the number 2 rule is very important. It's no such thing as free. So, you know, somebody's paying for it, whether it's going to be in general fund dollars or if it's at the village and it's coming out of the business owner's CAM payments, monthly CAM payments. They're paying. Everybody's paying. So there's, we still got how much did it cost to seal those decks up there? It was
12 million.
Yeah, somebody's putting new 3G, 4G wireless. It's not us, right? So.
Yeah, but we're not, I'm not blowing this off.
Yeah, no, it's
It's
important.
important, and
Yeah,
we're
for
trying
sure.
our best to, if we get complaints, we work with the folks. So
Yeah, and I
it's-
think the good thing we've done tonight is express our frustrations to the city manager, who knows that when he talks to parking, they have some work to do, so. Site development.
Nothing new, just our walk, July 17th.
All right, got it. So, all right, we're good with that. Miscellaneous, anybody? I do have one thing. I wanted to congratulate the Stony Creek High School women's soccer team for their Division I state championship. One of my business partner's daughter was the one that kicked that crazy arcing goal, and super proud of those guys. So I wanted to extend.
Bring the council.
Excellent, very good. That'll be great. Give them a key to the city. And then with respect to the dogs and what Taylor was talking about, I think ambassadors, the Love Local ambassadors with doggy bandanas is an outstanding idea. So yeah, you bet. So get after it. With that, I think we're good. Meeting adjourned.